Hello, everybody. Man, we had such a great show on Friday with April Winchell, and then something got misconfigured, and it's so frustrating to get back, but I think we're back because of all the subtle vagaries of YouTube and the different accounts that I have and all that stuff. It's really frustrating, but here I am. Okay. What I want to know is how much? How much?
One of the first questions I asked about film production is, how much? Well, how long is a piece of string? A motion picture is not a stock or inventory item. It can cost surprisingly little or involve a budget that would choke an elephant. Now, the cost of camera raw stock, that's a fixed item. Maybe this is the place to start.
Now, let me see. My movie should run about 20 minutes. That'll take about 7 rolls of film. At about $8 a roll, that'll be $56. Then magnetic striping. Let me see. 20 minutes is 720 feet. At 2.5 cents a foot, that'll be $18. 18 and 56 are $74. So, 20-minute film will cost about $75. Boy, movies sure cost an awful lot.
Yes, films can cost a lot. But there's more to producing a motion picture than buying raw stock. Perhaps it would be better to go to someone with film experience.
Photo department, Sawyer.
Oh, yes, Jim, this is Joe Madden, sales promotion.
Oh, yeah, Joe, what can I do for you?
We want to make a product picture on that new tramjet. 16 millimeter, color, say about 20 minutes. How much cost?
Well, give me some more information, Joe.
Information? What kind of information?
Well, you know, who's the audience going to be? How many locations? How many actors? How much equipment? You know.
Look, Jim, we'll whack all that stuff out later. Call me back, huh, in about 5 minutes? We want to get going.
Yeah, but Joe. Joe. Hello, Joe. $12,000.
Fine. I knew you'd come up with a figure that'd be right in the bullseye. Thanks, Jim.
Sure. Okay?
Sometimes the bullseye is way off base. Certain basic information is required before a quotation can be made. It might be best to call in an outside expert, a practicing producer, for some realistic and firm figures. There's really no secret about prices, you know.
There's no secret about our prices, Mr. Johnson. No, indeed. I'll figure them out for you right now.
I'm listening.
Yes, sir. Now, I want to be sure I've got all the facts straight. Now, what you want is a 20-minute film, right?
That's right.
And you want it in full sound and full color.
That's right.
Right? All right. Now, we want to show the factory.
Yes.
And any other scenes that are necessary to tell the story, right?
That's right.
Okay, let me figure this now for a few minutes, and I'll have it for you.
Fine, that's what I've got to have because, well, naturally, price is a big factor. Got to fit into our budget.
On the other hand, we don't intend to be unreasonable. We realize that pictures cost money. And I've discussed that angle pretty thoroughly with our board, and I think they understand it. You get about what you pay for in anything you buy. So we can understand a reasonable proposition. But we don't expect to pay Hollywood prices. We wouldn't hold still for that, indeed not. So, if you can convince me that your price is fair and that the picture will be good, well, I'll be able to get the money from my board.
Fine. That's the business-like way to look at it, Mr. Johnson.
Oh, yes, the business-like approach. It involves many things. How much you have to spend is a rather critical item, as it will determine how much a producer can work into a film. When you're contemplating a show, discuss it with a producer in its earliest stages. Give him complete and detailed information and allow him to submit a proposal. This proposal will contain a total budget and cost breakdown and a suggested story treatment. This permits determination of cost in advance of expenditure and gives a comprehensive idea of the end product. But without sufficient information, the question, how much, can only be answered by, how long is a piece of string?
Our good friends at Calvin Productions, so they, not only did they do sponsored films and training films, but they also did a workshop for other companies who were looking to do sponsored films, or other companies that were trying to do sponsored films for themselves. So there's other films that they came out with that were how to do lighting, how to do film direction. Then of course there's the Your Name Here, which is, and then there's the Dingbat story, which are like jokes, complete parodies of poorly made sponsored films. This is where I found out that snacks count too, specifically Spanish snacks. Enjoy.
Les presento a Max. Cada mañana, después de comer un nutritivo desayuno, le verán aquí corriendo 6 kilómetros. Es un modo de mantenerse en forma. Hola, Max. Corres con mucho estilo. ¿Cómo te sientes?
Estupendamente, de lo mejor. No hay nada en el mundo como hacer mucho ejercicio y comer bien.
¿Ah, sí? ¿Y eso qué es?
Esto, un bocadito.
Esta es Mary. Como a toda persona joven, le interesa conservar su buena figura. Mary, ¿siempre escoges los comestibles con tanto cuidado?
Oh, sí, una dieta adecuada es algo esencial a la salud.
¿Y entonces qué es eso?
Esto es aparte, esto no cuenta.
Las películas Journal presentan lo de entre comidas también cuenta.
Todo lo que uno come tiene su efecto. Tanto en las comidas como en lo que comemos entre ellas, se nota el alto nivel de vida de que disfrutamos. Y sin embargo, la buena nutrición sigue siendo un problema. Aunque tengamos el dinero necesario para comprar alimentos, la falta de nutrición adecuada no puede eliminarse con facilidad. Es un caso de dinero contra nutrición. La dificultad no está en nuestro bolsillo, sino en nuestro criterio. El estómago y el resto del sistema digestivo, al recibir los alimentos de las comidas o de los bocaditos que se comen entre cada comida, deben digerirlos y distribuir las calorías y otros elementos nutritivos a las distintas partes del cuerpo. Estómago.
¿Qué ocurre? Son más de las 10 y domingo por la noche. Creí que habíamos terminado esta semana.
Él no aprende nunca. Enciende las luces.
No, enciéndelas tú.
Yo siempre tengo que hacerlo.
Vamos, enciéndelas de una vez.
No me explico qué le pasa a Max. ¿Será el ejercicio que hace?
Sí, todavía estoy sintiendo el último partido de fútbol.
Lo extraño es que cuenta las calorías a las horas de las comidas, pero estos bocaditos...
Sí, claro, los bocaditos. Comió un buen postre en la cena, ¿no es verdad? Pues ¿por qué había de comer 5 galletas ahora? Oye, mandemos esto al hígado convertido en grasa.
Si Max sigue así, la barriga se le va a volver una galleta.
La dieta diaria de cada cual se compone de lo que come durante el día. Y dentro de esa dieta hay que contarlo todo, aún los comestibles que no están incluidos en las 3 comidas convencionales. Puede tratarse de cualquier cosa, de entremeses, refrescos, caramelos o fruta. Puede ser algo caliente o frío, húmedo o seco, salado o soso. Las bebidas pueden ser suaves o fuertes. Puede tratarse de cualquier cosa que normalmente formaría parte de una comida, pero que se disfruta a otra hora. No hay duda de que todas estas cosas saben muy bien. Vivimos comiendo. En lo que atañe a la buena nutrición, importa poco que comamos 3 comidas fuertes o 6 pequeñas. En realidad sería mejor comer cantidades menores con más frecuencia. Lo malo son los excesos que causan delgadez extrema o gordura y nos impiden mantener una buena silueta. Supongamos que tu cuerpo requiere 2100 calorías para crecer y mantenerse en el mejor estado de salud. Si es así, no puedes comer 2100 calorías en las comidas y luego añadir 500 calorías a otras horas. Eso no da resultado. La mayoría de nosotros sabe que un exceso de calorías es causa de obesidad, pero quizá ignoramos que también ocasiona otros excesos igualmente nocivos. Mucho de lo que se come y se bebe es dulce, como los caramelos y las gaseosas. O bastante salado, como las hojuelas de maíz y de papas. La mayoría de la gente come suficiente sal y azúcar, sin contar la de estas cosas. El azúcar ayuda a formar caries dentales y un exceso de ella puede ser dañino para quien tenga historial de diabetes en su familia. Una gran cantidad de sal puede ser perjudicial para aquellos cuyas familias sufran de presión alta y afecciones cardíacas. Las grasas saturadas de los caramelos pueden empeorar las dificultades coronarias. La mucha mantequilla, como la que se pone sobre las rositas de maíz, aumenta el contenido de grasas saturadas. Los excesos de azúcar, sal y grasas constituyen un problema, pero los bocaditos sueltos también pueden ocasionar deficiencias en la nutrición. Si Mary dependiera de las golosinas para obtener todas las vitaminas y minerales que necesita, no se mantendría en buena forma, especialmente si desarrollara anemia por falta de hierro. Las calorías de las golosinas no suelen guardar buena relación con sus vitaminas, minerales y proteínas.
¡Otro bocadito! Otra vez igual. Oye, está comiendo.
Si Max sigue comiendo de este modo, su cuerpo sufrirá por falta de los elementos nutritivos que necesita.
Envíanos más vitaminas y minerales.
Solo traga calorías. Golosinas. No tienen nada nutritivo.
No siempre comemos un bocadito porque tengamos hambre. A veces es solo porque vemos las cosas de comer o porque no tenemos nada más interesante que hacer. A pesar de que sabemos que el comer sin freno puede ocasionarnos dificultades, nos resulta difícil dejar de hacerlo. Cuando éramos pequeños nos daban golosinas como recompensa y esto nos creó un hábito difícil de cambiar. Estamos rodeados de presiones para sucumbir a él. Las máquinas lo facilitan, y más cuando los rótulos son tentadores y el tiempo corto. Mucha gente nos impulsa a comer. Y comemos más que nada por costumbre. Todas estas cosas saben bien y la oportunidad de comerlas se te ofrece a menudo. Pero el exceso puede hacerte daño. Hay que imponerse una regla, un plan para comer entre comidas que debe seguirse sin fallar.
Lo que comes a deshora, igual que todas tus demás comidas, tiene siempre que obedecer a los requisitos del cuerpo en cuanto a buena salud. Debes ingerir algo más que calorías sin valor, ¿verdad?
Sí, es verdad. Eso significa que es necesario planificar. En vez de comer a cada momento sin ton ni son, tú te controlas. Nosotros lo contamos todo. Cuenta tú también.
Lo mejor es comer algo que has sacado de una comida bien pensada. Esto significa guardar ciertas porciones de alimentos de tus comidas en lugar de comértelas todas de una vez y ponerlas aparte. Así tendrás algo que picar a otra hora.
3 comidas completas o 6 más pequeñas, nos da igual.
Estos alimentos prestados se pueden comer a cualquier hora del día.
Cuando los bocaditos están ya listos, no hace falta comprar otras cosas más caras, lo que te conviene porque todas esas cosas que se venden por ahí tienen un alto contenido de calorías, grasas, sal y azúcar.
Pero si es que vas a comer golosinas o cosas saladas, que no sea a menudo. No te habitúes a comerlas a diario. No olvidemos que aún sin todo eso, nos llega aquí suficiente azúcar y sal. Luego, en los días en que comemos cosas así, hay que comer menos de otras.
Una golosina cuyo ingrediente principal sea el azúcar contiene mayormente calorías. Apenas tiene otro valor nutritivo. En los paquetes, los ingredientes aparecen enumerados en orden descendiente según la cantidad, de modo que al leer la lista podemos ver cuán nutritivo es el alimento. Y lo que no dicen los rótulos, nos lo dicen los libros de calorías. Algunas familias mantienen una sección de la nevera o de los armarios de la cocina llena de alimentos nutritivos propios para picar. Esto les ayuda a reglamentar la dieta diaria sin demasiado esfuerzo y les recuerda planear los bocaditos que comerán fuera de la casa. Cuando uno es joven y especialmente si hace bastante ejercicio, apenas se notan los peligros del comer sin cuidado. Pero no tarda uno mucho en ver los efectos. Puede comenzar con un estómago dilatado, pero en algunos casos el asunto es más grave. De ti depende el tomar unas simples precauciones para que esto no ocurra.
Esta es la mejor golosina. Era parte de mi almuerzo, pero la guardé. Es inútil planear las comidas y no contar con estas cosas.
Sí, considerarlas como parte de nuestra dieta general requiere un poco de cuidado y un buen criterio acerca de cuáles golosinas te... Lo principal es considerar todo lo que comes como parte de tu dieta diaria.
¡Alto!
Consultor el Dr. Aaron M. Alshul, profesor de la Escuela de Medicina de la Universidad de Georgetown. Distribuida por las Películas Journal.
So that's interesting. The consultant was Albert Altschul. I'm totally probably mispronouncing his name, but the film was made by Journal Films, and specifically Gilbert Altschul. So I wonder if they were kin. But man, I hope I have an English version of that because unfortunately I don't speak Spanish, but there was lot in there. So much in there that was really visually interesting, and all the snack foods. Oh, beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Okay. What are we looking at time-wise? Okay. So I should just say that that is from a batch of films that just showed up on my porch. I drove up late this morning, and there were 5 boxes, huge, heavy boxes of films that came from the Texas Archive of the Moving Image. They were asked to deaccession some films from, I think, the Texas Department of Health. And so there was a bunch of beautiful stuff in there that they don't really collect, but they just passed on to me. I should say, those boxes were not cheap to get here because they were like super heavy. And so we paid some, we got these for free, but not really. We paid for those, and that's why we often ask for money via the Super Thanks button or the Patreon or KO-FI. Those are great ways to offset the costs of getting those here. But what was awesome is I was able to, just before the show started, I was able to scan 2 of the films. This next film is about steel, and if it's a film about steel, it means it's probably from the Oregon Archive, which is based in Pittsburgh, which is lousy with rusty steel mills. Enjoy.
This is steel. Steel flowing like a river. White-hot liquid tapped from an open hearth furnace that not long before had been cold. What place is this, and what time? You're in Pittsburgh, city of rivers and of rivers of steel. You're looking at the vast Pittsburgh Works Division of Jones & Laughlin Steel Corporation, covering 4 1/4 miles of harbor line on both sides of the Monongahela River. Under the near stacks are the 11 new furnaces of number 4 open hearth, a $70 million project in J&L's $400 million expansion program. To make room for the big project, the Urban Redevelopment Authority of Pittsburgh acquired 208 separate dwellings in which 296 families were living and cleared the land. Number 4 Open Hearth Shop stretches along Carson Street from 29th Street to 34th Street and covers 19 acres. Today, there's an unusual gathering at Number 4. Over 300 of the top men and women of industry, of labor, of schools and colleges and the churches have come to the shop. Inside, on the charging floor of the Open Hearth Shop, they sit on folding chairs before a fernbank stage. In a short time, they'll be witness to a historic event. Now they listen as J&L's president, Admiral Ben Morrell, begins an inspiring ceremony. It's October 30th, 1951, the day set for the tapping of the first heat of steel from the first of 11 new furnaces to be completed. Even while the Admiral speaks, workmen outside continue to give shape to the 50,000 tons of structural steel, the 88,000 cubic yards of concrete that'll go into the building. 66 carloads of fire brick form the lining of the 11 furnace stacks. 250 feet high they reach. Not far from where the Admiral speaks, a crewman from number 36 shapes up the slag in the furnace with fluorspar. From Eliza blast furnace across the river on 2nd Avenue comes molten iron, along with steel scrap and various alloying materials and fluxes. The molten iron forms the open hearth charge. The blast furnaces gorge on rich iron ore and spew up torrents of liquid iron. So critical are the nation's needs for steel that the new furnaces will be tapped one at a time as they're ready. Admiral Morrell tells the gathering about the beginnings of the new open hearth.
Months ago, this was but a dream for many of us. Today, our labors are nearing fruition. The dream is coming true. I hope sincerely that not 1 pound of the steel from these great furnaces will be needed to fight a war. But if it is needed to defend our liberty, I thank God that it will be there.
Pennsylvania's Governor John S. Fine tells the gathering at the tapping ceremony what the new open hearth means for Pennsylvania and the world.
The increased production here alone will provide enough steel for 100,000 freight cars, or 1,142,000 automobiles annually in a peacetime economy.
And Pittsburgh's mayor, David L. Lawrence, who also is head of the Urban Redevelopment Authority, says it's a great day for Pittsburgh and the country.
This is a great day for the American way of life, when capital and labor and government can join together and do a job like this for the general welfare of the people.
And speaking for labor, John F. Murray, director of District 16, United Steelworkers of America, CIO, pays tribute to management.
I want to say that morale has brought a new lease of life to the employees of the Jones and Laughlin. He has made it so nice that it is pretty near impossible for to come in and take anything up with him anymore without him offering something that's going to be in a cooperative spirit towards the better attainment of better relations between the union and the company.
And as labor hands that bouquet to management, molten iron from Eliza Furnaces is brought across the river on J&L's own hot metal bridge in cars which workmen call submarines. These cars deliver the iron to the Bessemers, to the number 2 open hearth and the new number 4 shop. And now, as furnace number 36 is almost ready to be tapped, Admiral Morrell introduces Charles E. Wilson, the nation's director of defense mobilization, who stirs his audience when he tells them that in 13 weeks, the steel industry of the nation produces as much steel as the Soviet Union produces in an entire year. What do the Russians think of that, says Mr. Wilson.
Uncle Joe Stalin and his fellow occupants of the Kremlin may not be impressed by the moral arguments or diplomatic persuasion, but they do read production figures.
And industrial superiority, he says, is the way to avoid World War III.
If there were Russian spies within the sound of my voice today, I would be glad to have them hear news, which is very bad for them.
And the Russian news agency TASS, he says, no doubt will cable the news of the new open hearth to Moscow, but the Russian people never will hear about it. Then he compliments J&L on its achievement.
The workers of this shop should be inspired by the impact which today's inauguration has upon the world scene.
The speeches are over and the action begins as the guests go to a safe place in the pits to watch the tapping. This is the tapping side of number 36. The clay line tapping spout has been placed at the tapping hole, and giant ladles stand ready to catch the flow of steel and the overflow of slag. This first heat will be tapped by a new and safer method, instead of the old hazardous hand method. A shaped charge of explosive, similar to the tank-destroying military bazooka, will be placed in the tapping hole. From it, a wire will be played out to a key at a safe point on the platform. When all is ready, one of the crew will blow a whistle, and Charles E. Wilson will throw the key that will set off the bazooka, clearing the tapping hole of its seal and allowing the molten steel to pour out in a shower of sparks into the ladle. The steel has been tested and found right. Now the crew gouges through 5.5 feet of dolomite at the tapping hole. Admiral Morrell and Mr. Wilson move to the spot where Mr. Wilson will tap the heat by remote control. The bazooka is placed in the hole only 6 inches from the molten metal, seething at nearly 3,000 degrees of heat. The tremendous heat itself would explode the bazooka in 3 to 8 minutes, so now things must be done quickly. The giant crane lifts the ladle holding the 250-ton heat of steel and takes it to the ingot mold set up nearby. Workmen throw a lever that lifts a stopper in the bottom of the ladle, and the molten steel is steamed into the molds. Remaining slag is dumped out. After stripping and heating to uniform temperature in the soaking pits, the ingots are rolled by the blooming mills into blooms or into slabs, like these, which go to the cooling beds. The slabs are then scarfed and craned to the reheating furnace. From the reheating furnaces, they'll go directly to the hot strip mill, where they'll go through roughing rolls. Finally, they're squeezed and stretched into strips, running out like ribbon candy at express train speed to the coiler. The strip coiling on a spool and the countless shapes and sizes of the steel that's been fashioned from other ingots will go into the fabricating of 100,000 articles, from cuticle scissors to refrigerators and steel barrels and buildings, and guns and tanks and ships. Through all this, at every twist and turning of the steel, as it flows like a river through the mills, are the men of J&L, the great corporation which will be 100 years old in 1953. And these are the men, some of J&L's 45,000, whose bone and flesh and brains push the whole tremendous process of the making of steel. From ore to blast furnace to finished products. All done by men working with management, with government, and with labor spokesmen to produce in this plant and in other J&L plants at Aliquippa and Cleveland, steel. Steel for booming Pittsburgh, reaching at the skies. Steel for America and the world. Steel flowing in a constant river. 2 million tons more steel each year from these new furnaces alone, boosting J&L's capacity to nearly 6.5 million tons of ingots a year. Steel for bars and shapes, for hot and cold rolled strips and sheets, for tubes and wire and tin plate and wire rope. Steel sinew for war when necessary. But far, far better, strength for peace and hope for a brighter day.
I got to find more package program Films. What a great name of a company. Package Programs. Okay. There's a lot of options. We have a lot of options. And I didn't realize that that applies to hazardous waste. This is our old friend Stuart Finley, who did a bunch of educational films for people in the field about environmental issues. He did 5,000 Dumps. He did The Green Box, which is about dumpsters. He did some other films about ecologists, and mostly for the EPA. And so this one is Hazardous Waste Options. Enjoy.
America's hazardous waste crisis has materialized because no one, government, industry, the public, fully realized how harmful some of our wastes could be. Who knows what wastes are in these 55-gallon drums? Eventually, they will rust and leak. It used to be common practice to pump hazardous wastes into makeshift lagoons to get rid of them. The toxic materials in these ponds could seep into the ground and contaminate groundwater or overflow during rainstorms. Hazardous wastes are generated from the production of paints, pesticides, plastics, leather, textiles, medicines, and many other products that we use in our everyday lives. The toxic and harmful qualities of these wastes are caused by chlorinated organics, heavy metals such as lead and mercury, acids, alkalis, cyanide, and many other chemicals. The challenge is to develop systems to handle the millions of tons of hazardous wastes produced every year, while catching up on the cleanup of abandoned wastes. Here, an industrial waste recycling plant receives solvent wastes from the manufacture of furniture, ink, paint, and other products. Impurities are removed, and the solvent can be restored to its original quality by a distillation process. Or more economically, the wastes can be blended into a fuel with properties similar to number 2 fuel oil. This one small plant can distill fuel from solvent wastes equivalent to several million barrels of petroleum a year. Another division of the company recycles waste oil. A sample is taken from an incoming truck to be centrifuged to determine the oil content. Waste oil becomes contaminated with heavy metals, dirt, solvents, and water, which can be seen in the bottom of this sample. Treating this waste oil could produce various products. It could be recycled back to its original use, or it could be converted to another use, such as heating oil. After chemical and heat treatment, another sample is taken to determine the oil's characteristics and whether it will measure up to American Society of Testing Materials and National Bureau of Standards specifications. Again, the ultimate degree of treatment is dictated by economic factors such as market demand. A final sample is drawn from an underground tank to measure the critical properties of the oil, such as viscosity. Whatever contaminants remain after processing are sent to the Industrial Liquids Recycling branch of the company for further treatment. A tank truck is loaded with several thousand gallons of high-quality recycled oil, which otherwise would have been a waste problem for the environment. Recycling and reuse is a better option than even the most competent disposal system. Oily wastes, acid wastes, caustic wastes are mixed in this tank in such proportions that they neutralize each other, with the oil eventually floating to the top. The sludge is drawn off the bottom of this sedimentation tank. The effluent is aerated and discharged to a publicly owned treatment works, leaving a sludge which can be disposed of in a regular municipal landfill. Hazardous waste managers must decide between recycling, treatment, or disposal. The best options are to reduce the amount of waste at the source or recycle them. But when hazardous wastes must be treated or disposed of, there are options which are legally and technically sound. A mountain of clay has been excavated from the earth to create hazardous waste landfill cells. Eventually, it will be used as cover material. "55-gallon drums are used as containers for solid materials. The drums are trucked in, sometimes from great distances. They are stacked compactly in the landfill cell, and then cover is applied to keep the rainwater out and keep the waste in. To prevent leachate problems, a plastic liner is laid on the bottom of the cell and covered with compacted clay. On the top of the cell, another plastic liner, more clay, and then an earth cover. In another large hazardous waste landfill, a loading platform facilitates unloading. This keeps at least some of the trucks out of the busy cell area. The contents of each truck and the packaging of the wastes are known in advance. This permits trucks to be scheduled efficiently. Some trucks do go down into the cell. It's a busy place, with loaders bringing in waste, trailer trucks being upended for unloading, wastes being placed, earth movers bringing in cover material, and bulldozers scraping the cover in place and compacting it. Landfill disposal is one of the major methods used today, accepting most types of hazardous wastes. Properly engineered landfills prevent wastes from harming the outside world. Inside each landfill compound is a technical support team. If mismanagement has been the problem, then proper management must be the solution. Large disposal companies which handle hazardous wastes have developed careful systems to ensure proper operations and to avoid accidents. A waste generator must fill out an application which provides chemical and physical data about its wastes. A chemist evaluates the data to determine if the landfill is authorized under a state or federal permit to dispose of these wastes. Often this assessment is then supported by lab work as an actual sample is tested to confirm or further determine its properties and characteristics. There are numerous tests. This one is a gas chromatograph analysis. A sample is injected, and as it is burned in the test unit, a spectrum of responses of differing amplitudes identify and quantify the various chemicals present in the sample. As a result, the waste either is or is not accepted at this particular hazardous waste facility. The next step takes place when the waste is delivered to the facility. simple tests confirm that the generator has sent the wastes which were originally agreed upon. For instance, a litmus paper check can determine if the pH is in the proper range. A specific gravity test provides additional information. Today's federal and state manifest, waste analysis, and disposal procedures prevent random discharge of hazardous wastes. These functions are the start of cradle-to-grave record-keeping to prevent repetition of earlier problems such as Love Canal and Valley of the Drums, and to protect public health. Lined ponds hold liquids awaiting treatment. Alkalis are on the left, acids on the right. At this facility, liquids are absorbed before disposal in the landfill cell itself. These are pesticide wastes. They're emptied into a pile of fines. The absorption process takes place until eventually there's no liquid left. Any liquid that collects in the bottom of the landfill can be pumped out through these leachate wells and reprocessed. Meantime, groundwater quality is monitored frequently in a ring of special wells that surround the landfill site. A more sophisticated liquid absorption system mixes the liquid wastes and the fines in concrete pits. The fines are delivered by a screw auger. As the liquids and fines are mixed together, they are homogenized into a composite solid from which the liquids do not re-emerge. These fines from cement manufacturing must be purchased, although they once were a troublesome, useless waste. Solids for the landfill. Injection plowing is another method of liquid solidification. Here, liquids are injected into the soil. When the waste has been absorbed, it is landfilled as a solid. A small plot like this can accommodate great quantities of liquid waste. Leachate sumps are connected to drains located at the bottom of the landfill cell. Any leachate is pumped out and treated. Here, an electrical pumping system removes leachate automatically. A hazardous waste landfill involves other special processing. For example, empty drums are still contaminated and must be crushed before being buried to avoid differential settlement or collapse of the final cover. Many contaminated items are often delivered for disposal. These hoses must be buried. Only a few landfill cells in the United States are certified for disposal of PCBs. This is one of them. It is 80 feet deep, and below there is still 620 feet of dense clay. High-temperature incineration reduces the volume of wastes. Flammable liquids are burned in this air vortex stationary burner. Solids can be incinerated in this rotating kiln. High-temperature incineration can provide more than 99% destruction of organic hazardous wastes. These temperatures range from 1200 to 2300 degrees in the two burners and the afterburner. Emissions from this stack contain very low levels of particulate matter, low enough to conform to federal and state standards. What you see is almost entirely steam. This Venturi wet scrubber is an important part of the incinerator's particulate control system. Cooling water is recycled. Even with incineration, however, a residue or ash remains, which needs to be disposed of, usually by landfill. Deep well injection is another hazardous waste disposal method. Wastes, such as acids, pickling solutions from plating operations, and plant water contaminated with heavy metals, are contained here in lagoons first, and then in tanks. Finally, after filtration, pumps inject the liquids at about 130 gallons a minute into porous formations. At this site, these disposal zones are about 4,500 feet deep. Low permeability layers of shale and clay lie above and below the disposal zones. Underground injection is only possible in certain areas, however, and current capacity accounts for only a small percentage of the total hazardous waste disposal problem. An effective and efficient method of disposing of biodegradable hazardous wastes is called land treatment. Liquid wastes are plowed into or spread on the soil and then cultivated periodically. Sunlight, chemical and biological action produce changes. After 5 days, still an oily mess. After 9 days, conversion proceeds. After 2 weeks, a brownish soil once again. These fields are actually a waste treatment medium, serving a function similar to aeration tanks of an industrial wastewater treatment plant. There are certain advantages to land treatment of hazardous wastes. In warm climates, biological activity in the soil is accelerated, and there are no moving parts except the application truck and the cultivator, which hastens the biological action. Land treatment of biodegradable hazardous wastes, an emerging technology. Precision reporting is the new rule for hazardous wastes. Landfills and other facilities maintain tight security. Every shipment of hazardous waste off-site activates a manifest system which will follow wastes from their point of origin to their predetermined point of disposal. The law specifies stiff penalties for violators. The weighing station determines the quantity of waste to be processed and thus the cost. This can be substantial, a factor that motivates manufacturers to segregate waste streams, treat hazardous wastes, and maximize in-plant recycling. Truck drivers find they have new responsibilities. The driver presents the generator's manifest, which lists each type of waste and the quantities. The manifest forms have multiple copies for everyone concerned. A safety sheet is provided for the worker who must unload the truck. Paperwork to prevent carelessness and irresponsibility. Everybody wants wastes to be disposed of, but not near them. Thus, waste management is not only a technical and economic problem, but a political one as well. These people are braving the weather to picket a landfill near their homes. And of course, the emotional intensity is heightened even further if the facility is intended to handle hazardous wastes. But But citizens, waste generators, and community officials must attempt the sensible objective of disposing of all types of wastes efficiently and effectively. Citizen leadership is needed to develop positive solutions which are acceptable to them and beneficial to their community. Proposed sites must have good design characteristics and safe locations. This landfill, for example, is located on a large industrial site and in a thick bed of low permeability clay to protect surface and groundwaters. Another landfill in a good location. And still another well-chosen site, sitting atop 750 feet of low permeability clay. Landfill site selection and approval is most likely to be successful now that all landfills must meet strict engineering criteria. A quarter of a century ago, burning dumps blackened the sky. Today, waste management is more sophisticated. Hazardous waste management requires detailed information on the waste itself in order to select the best options. Options to protect human health, provide safety, and conserve a wide variety of environmental resources: air quality, floodplains and wetlands, endangered species, surface water, groundwater. The public expects a sophisticated and competent program of hazardous waste management, which utilizes new scientific methods to provide optimum environmental controls. Today, hazardous waste options include reducing waste at the source, recycling wastes when possible, and properly treating and disposing of the remaining fraction, all in the interest of environmental harmony.
So no music credits. I have to agree. They picked some really good music. And a lot of productions like this would not pay someone to write music for it. So it's very likely they used what's called production music or library music, which is you pay a license, you buy these albums, and then you use them in your project, and then 30 years later somebody claims them all on YouTube, and so then when I show a film, even if it's in public domain, whoever claimed the song then gets to monetize it and make money off of it. So we will see. I might put up this film separately just to see who wrote the song, who wrote the music. Because that's the one good side of that is sometimes I find musicians or I find background music and they credit the musicians, and there's some awesome stuff that sometimes is on Spotify. So I'll listen to a whole album of background music. I have some in when I was collecting records that shows up that's really great stuff. But yeah, Stuart Finley, I guess he was a DJ in the DC metro area and had a film company, and I guess he got government grants to make these films. All of them have some sort of environmental thing about them. Thanks for watching. Very much appreciate your eyeballs. Again, if you hit like and subscribe, that's a great way to support us. But also, things that can help us, like I said, we paid $90 per box to ship from Texas to Raleigh, and that was the cheapest way to go. And so, if you'd like to support that effort, you can go to patreon.com/abgeeks, ko-fi.com/abgeeks, or you can use the super thanks. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. It is storming outside, so somehow we didn't lose power, we didn't lose internet, so whew. All right, we'll see you guys all later. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. I'm going to go ahead and start up the Twitch roulette, and you can watch a 24/7 stream at twitch.tv/abgeeks. And I see some of you have been showing up, so thanks for watching. Enjoy.